Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are the session we were standing between you and lunch. So definitely this is the time I'll request all the esteemed panelists to keep their interventions to a minimum of 5 minutes. And what we will do is we will kind of make it one go so that we also have time to take questions from participants over here. Absolutely a pleasure to be a part of the 20th Digital Transformation Conclave, which is organized by GovConnect and ilouge Media. And as they say, all roads lead to Sudeep, sir, you're supposed to come. You don't remember you're part of the panel? Let's come. Please join. Right. So this is this is happening as a follow-up to the Global AI Summit. And the Global AI Summit, apart from all the reels it kind of triggered, it also led to a lot of thinking in terms of how does India also make the entire genre, the entire narrative of AI and Gen AI, the entire future which will be shaped by digital public infrastructure, data-driven governance, AI-enabled systems, and how does one make this the core bed of India's modernization, the core bed of India's cloud and data infrastructure, and lead to the emergence of something which is going to be intelligent, which is going to be anticipatory, which is going to actually promote that entire drive of citizen-first public administration. Having said so, this conclave is actually one of those best times which has seen many states, which has been organized across the states of government of India. And I think this is one of the places where we will always say all roads lead to Gujarat, to Gandhinagar, and here we are. And a round of applause for the organizers for finding such a lovely venue to talk about how does one kind of bring a confluence of leaders who are not only in the business of providing technology, in the business of providing tech-based solutions, of AI-based solutions, but also to integrate it with the biggest operators, the biggest scalers, the government leaders, the policy makers across from different states of India, and that is where we have an esteemed panel. So I'll set in the context. This session is about building secure, scalable digital platforms for next-gen government. So India's digital backbone, as you must be following the entire narrative, is based on data centers, cloud environments, core governance applications, and all this must keep pace with the rising expectations and exponentially growing workloads. So hybrid cloud and modern data architectures enable scalability, interoperability, security, and AI readiness. They form what we generally say the underlying foundation of everything from national digital platforms to citizen-facing services. So now I'll just go over there. So I will not stand between you and the diverse experience of the participants over here and the speakers over here. So first I would request, and please also let's be mindful of the time, and every speaker would be requested to kind of phrase their entire
experience within a short span of 5 minutes. I hope that should not be a problem. So the first speaker at hand is Mr. Narasimha Kumar. He is from the Indian Police Service. He's serving as Commissioner Vadodara. Sir, from you, we would like to know how are the digital platforms transforming modern policing, because you have a huge experience on policing, and real-time public safety operations in smart cities as Commissioner of Police Commissioner at Vadodara. Also, could you elaborate on how can policing systems integrate AI analytics, real-time data platforms to strengthen urban security, given your vast experience? So, would you like to talk from that?
Thank you. We are witnessing rapid changes in technology. With this changing technology landscape, police cannot be left behind. With the kind of urbanization that we are witnessing across the nation, more so in Gujarat, we are one of the highest urbanized states in the country. And there are 8 smart cities and there are over 156 nagarpalikas. The focus is on urban governance. Then there are going to be 2 issues which are going to be very, very critical. Number 1, security, which includes physical security in the sense securing life and liberties and also property of the citizens. Also, the digital world, cyber safety and data security, etc., are also going to be key issues. And then another important issue is mobility. With the growth of urban jungles, growth in vehicular population, managing and enforcing traffic-related issues is going to be a major problem. So keeping pace with the technological growth that is happening across the nation, Gujarat Police is trying to equip itself and become future ready by adopting modern technological tools. One of the projects that we have implemented in recent times is Vishwas, under which there is a network of CCTV camera, body camera and drone camera based security, you can call it surveillance, and also ITMS system across the state. We have 30,000 plus CCTV camera and body cameras installed already in about 100 plus cities and also 79 interstate entry and exit points. This gives us a huge capacity to basically ensure 2 things, as I said, safety and security of the street corners, women, children, and ordinary citizens moving in the cities. And number 2, integrated traffic management system makes it possible for non-intrusive, rigorous enforcement to make it possible for seamless movement within the urban centers, and that has been the focus. Number 2, regarding the kind of urban governance infrastructure that has come up under the basically smart city mission over a period of time. Vadodara and many other urban centers, including Surat, Ahmedabad and Rajkot, have been beneficiaries of this initiative. We have massive IT and IoT infrastructure that has come up over a period of time. Data security and cyber security will continue to haunt us for many more years. So there is a national framework in terms of IT Act and DPDP Act 2023 and the institution framework by way of certain I4C and all that. To match that infrastructure that we have at the national level, Government of Gujarat has also set up cybercrime police stations at all in all districts and city centers, and we have one cyber excellence center that has come up in Gandhinagar, which caters to basically in terms of capacity building, our ability to develop in-house experts to deal with, and augment that we have also brought in outsourced basis experts from different domains, and also we have the capacity or ability to issue advisories to various governmental departments and systems regarding their cyber safety, data security and issues like that. So we are preparing ourselves in terms of systems, toolkits and support systems to make it possible for rigorous policing in the state. Regarding AI infusion, we are sitting on massive data over a period of time under the CCTNS. We call it ilouge in Gujarat, which is an augmented version of CCTNS. We started way back in 2007. We have crime criminal database. We have missing person database. Today we have vehicle and drivers database. All kind of databases, but there is this gap in terms of interoperability and integration. So we have taken 2 massive initiatives. One, we will be integrating multiple CCTV camera-based system across the state, whether it is transportation, whether it is urban development department or civil supplies department. All the cameras systems need to talk to each other. Second, to set up a data fusion center, we have legacy data that need to be brought together to make it possible for systems to talk to each other and pull out relevant information that need to be that can be used for AI operations. That kind of an exercise is going on in the state. As part of that, this year we have made a provision for setting up of data fusion center and center of excellence for AI in policing. So the journey is going to be augmenting our capacity in terms of more CCTV camera penetration and also face recognition systems, advanced video analytical tools and capabilities, and AI for basically make it possible for the police to find a smart solution for policing in the state. So we are transiting from data-building police to data-driven police, a future-ready police which can take up this responsibility of managing IT and IoT infrastructure and also AI infrastructure as we take this journey forward and assist Government of Gujarat in creating a safe and secure environment for data revolution that we are heading to.
Thank you, sir. I do have one little cross question. So here. So this one. You, as the only police officer in this panel, I am very curious about the talk that we were having earlier. The amount of cyber security crimes that is going on, the phishing crimes, and even top shot celebrities falling susceptible to these kind of issues. So what is the kind of, the skill upgradation that police is actually doing? And what is the kind of, partners that you have who are able to kind of bring up that reskilling in the police system to be able to deal with this huge. So India, I was just reading, is the highest, registers the highest number of cybersecurity crimes and frauds that we have. So if our police across the states, how are we kind of, increasing our capabilities to deal with this? Very briefly, if that you could just address that.
Cybercrime is basically the scale is mind-boggling. True, police is faced with this challenge of investigating the kind of volume and the variety that we have. To meet that requirement, we are doing multiple things. One, capacity augmentation by way of training our own police officers. There are 1,000+ policemen recruited in the last decade who have engineering background. They will be specially groomed and trained and deployed for these kind of activities. We have inducted over 650 engineers. In each of the police stations, one engineer will be assisting the police. That's how we want to bring in expertise from outside. And the Cyber Excellence Center, as I told you in the beginning, we are in the process of inducting several domain experts to meet the internal requirement for investigation of criminal cases. And also, we have augmented the capacity by way of in the forensic science university that we have and the laboratory that we have cyber forensic, mobile forensic, drone forensic, and many capabilities built over a period of time to meet this kind of challenges. However, it continues to be a work in progress. We need to do a lot of things by way of capacity building for our in terms of preparedness to deal with these kind of multi-phase challenges.
A lot of the technology service providers, the leaders of the business who are here, they can find a good business solution in terms of partnering with the police organizations in different states in order to kind of upgrade the skilling and the training programs. I think that's a good area that we can work on. So moving ahead, Sudeepji, you are here, right? So Sudeepji is Joint Secretary in MeitY, and for you, obviously, the question would be, how are you kind of building something in center which will lead to some kind of a uniformity in the level of development, in the level of maturity in the DPI, in the level of maturity of interoperability and secure DPI across the states. So you are in Government of India, and you know that all the states are at very, very different stages. You have a Karnataka, you have a Telangana, you have many other states, I would not like to name them. So what is it that you are doing in terms of trying to bring about some semblance of sanity, some uniformity in the level of maturity in terms of building this AI, building the DPI which will be secure, resilient and responsible?
Okay, so thank you. Semblance of similarity, but also sovereignty. That is also very important. It's the buzzword these days. So, when you look at the AI stack, there are 5 layers in AI stack. The first layer is the energy layer, which of course will be addressed by various recent act Shanti that has been brought, so that we can even explore that possibility of nuclear energy being used to give supply to the AI requirement of data center. The second layer is that of the chip or the GPU layer. So today is 13th of March, exactly 2 years back, Honorable Prime Minister laid the foundation stone of the first fabrication thing in Dholera. So that's a big thing. So government is taking a lot of steps to have chip making in India. And there are many schemes, electronic component manufacturing scheme, productivity incentive, design linked incentive, and many more. So that basically we want that this is one area where we should be having some sort of uniformity as well as also our own sovereignty in the matter of chip making. The third layer is the layer of the CSPs or the data centers. So there, as in the morning session I stated that in AI India compute pillar, we have got a compute layer in which we are providing compute as a service. We empanel CSPs, and through these empaneled CSPs, we take a commitment for compute, and end users that register on our portal. Once they have registered, then based on the acceptance of what they have requested, they are allotted a CSP, and 40% subsidy is given by the India AI mission itself. The fourth layer is the model layer. So the model layer basically, for example, I just stated was that we have got, so the model layer was that server I told in the morning. Apart from server, Bharat Jen has also released some of its models. We have very interesting models coming up. One of the startups that we have shortlisted is basically coming up with the model for metallurgy, in which they can tell about the life of the battery that is remaining, and they even claim that in due course they will be able to make new metals out of it. LLM models are of course coming in various languages, and apart from that, for coding also there are certainly people who are working on EEG. One of the startup is working at it, will be using EEG. So India's own models are also coming. The last layer is the application layer. So India already has got the maximum number of use cases. So application layer is one layer where we have an inherent advantage. So these are the 5 layers on which Indian government is working on. And ultimate objective is that once we have got our own stack, then we will start offering it not only to the central government but also to the state government. For example, if you look at India AI mission, we expect that various agencies of central and state may keep their data in the AI code, which is one of the pillars of the India AI mission. Similarly, the compute facility that we have provided is being sought after by the state governments also. In fact, Gujarat government has also taken few compute, and other state governments are also seeking compute on that ground, apart from the central ministry and various organizations. Similarly, for the application, we have taken the problem statement from across the ministry, and these problem statements will then be offered to the startups to find a solution. The model, they are getting developed, and once they develop and reach certain level of maturity, then of course that will also be the state government. So once we have an Indian AI stack, it will not only be sovereign, it will also bring the type of uniformity that you were trying to say, and that will be used by all across the structure. So that will bring some sort of parity also, because compute as a resource will not be possible for certain states. Certain states will have the resources and the wherewithal to hire compute. There is already a tie-up in one of the states with Google where they are coming up with the data center, but that will not be the case with all the states. So they can use the India AI compute facilities to have that parity. So through India AI mission, we are trying to achieve exactly what you
What's
said.
the timeline that we are looking at for this India AI mission?
So India AI mission was initiated in March 24 for a period of 5 years, and it was 10,371 crores. Already we are offering compute, so that part is addressed. AI code is functional. Models are likely to become functional across the 13-14 startups that we have shortlisted by next year. For future scaling, it's something that will always be a work in progress because you keep on adding the skills. So we do expect that in a couple of years from now, we will have substantial component of India AI stack ready and religionized.
That's very interesting, Sudhir. Thank you for sharing the futuristic plans, which should be in the near future and not in the distant future as well. So coming to Arvind Vijayanji, he's the managing director of Gujarat Informatics. He's not here. Oh, sorry, my bad. So, Prithviraj. So who's not? Revati is there, then finally we come to Revati. Revati, it's again absolutely a pleasure to be in the same panel. So Revati is CEO and MD, Executive Director of Goa Electronics Limited. And she's been leading the driving of innovation and digital transformation across the government departments. Multiple government departments through the entire set of innovation and digital technology platforms. That is kind of handheld by Revati and her Goa Electronics Limited. So for you, the question could be: it's a small state, and there are diverse kind of. It's a state with a lot of different, let me say, population groups, very migrant population groups as well, transient population groups, and obviously the departments that you are kind of handling. How do you kind of bring about that entire, the drive for innovation? And how do you also bring about the digital transformation throughout these multiple government departments as one of the single department who's handholding this entire thing? And how is it that Goa is doing it differently than any of the other states? Because we've been to several other states that we've over the course of the conclave. So how is it that you feel that Goa has been doing it a little differently? And how is it that you're managing this transformation and this digital kind of push across various departments? In your opinion, which would be the best departments who have actually kind of absorbed the digital technology and are leading within the state of Goa? Over to you.
Good afternoon all. Thank you, Sahita. And thank you Fahim and Ramanji, ilouge Media for allowing all of us to come on this platform and share our experiences with one another. Coming to your question, yes, Goa is a very uniquely placed state, and though we have the best of the parameters in terms of education, healthcare, per capita income, we have our unique set of problems which we are trying to deal with. If you have observed since morning, all of us discussing on AI, the expectation of the government is so hugely changing that today we have feedback coming from the citizens कि अगर हम delivery we can get in 10 minutes, why we can't get a resident certificate in 10 minutes? So if this is the level of response that the citizens are expecting, and with technologies like AI coming into, of course all the states are doing a lot in this sector. But specifically in Goa, where tourism plays a major role, after mining, of course. So in the tourism sector, we have also implemented a couple of AI-based solutions. We have implemented data analytics and AI predictions, where we are able to analyze which set of tourists come in at what period of time of the year, and what should be served to them. Earlier, the government was serving an a la carte, I'll say, and earlier it was serving a buffet, but now it knows what to serve when the tourist comes in. We know when to have probably a Guju, festival happening in Goa, because we know when they arrive, in which period, what is their stay period. So, of course, typically in a state like Goa, where tourism drives, we have AI working. Of course, in mines also, we have implementations where we are doing pattern recognitions to understand as per environmental clearances, up to what level of excavation can happen of ore in the state. Another important aspect where all the departments have got together is the Data Analytics Center of Goa. For a small population of 15 lakh, I'm happy to state here that the state, through the Data Analytics Center, has made a savings of around 57 crores already. So if we are equivalent to a district, see the impact it will have when it goes out to other bigger states of the country. So of course, AI has done many transformations. We are in the beginning of the journey. A couple of things which I would like to just mention places our learnings in AI is that one, identify the relevance of AI to your own state and sector. Like I said, we deal with tourism, we deal with mines, and we are actively looking at use cases in those areas. So relevance matters. Of course, on the second front, I think a huge success parameter for Goa was that we tried to put each AI project into a measurable outcome. Don't trust when someone tells you you cannot actually measure outputs, in terms of figures for an AI comp. You can. It's only a bit of a little hard work when you're working on your RFP. So I think that was the second driver which went very well with Goa. And I'll just say, yes, we all should take the approach, you call it the Goldilocks principle. Don't go to extremes that AI will solve all problems of human mankind and stuff, or on the other end that it will take over, machines will take over human mankind, and no. Somewhere in between, when the environment is just right, we have to have those perspectives to see what it can do and how relevant it can do to your own state. So I think these are some of the principles which have helped us in implementing successfully.
Thank you, Revati. I think what was of real good interest was how you are kind of framing up your RFPs. Because I think that's one of those critical places where a lot of government organizations, while floating an RFP for inviting a bid on an AI intervention or an integration of a particular technology in a particular, let me say, a service aspect, whether it could be just a transport thing or it could be problem solving, it could be anything. I think that particular bit is a little bit of a problem if you see different states, and different states would have very different expertises in this area. So we know one thing, definitely for participants from different states, that if we need some kind of a bit of help on RFP, then we know whom to contact.
Definitely.
So moving over, Vivek is here. Vivek, again, I think it would be very interesting to listen to Vivek. He is Director at Ministry of Defence. Now, obviously, you know the context that we are talking about. The context is a lot of operations, a lot of strategic operations in the defense scenario, in the national security scenario, happening all across. I don't know how much, Vivek, you will be able to disclose, but I would definitely like to prod you into disclosing as much as possible. So with that, see, what we would like to know from you largely would be in the national security environment. Cyber resilience is absolutely critical, as we know it from all the news that we see all the time. So how can governments actually build secure digital infrastructure for sensitive operations? And that is part of the thing, because I'm sure you'll be privy to a lot of sensitive operations happening. I don't know how much you'll be able to kind of use it here. But can you talk from your experience on, the cyber defense strategies, and how India is actually strengthening our defense strategy, the cyber defense strategies, through maybe, improving, upgrading our digital infrastructure. Also, parallel to that would be, are we at actually par, are we safe, are we at par with the global north technology partners? How is it that you are kind of bringing in technology from different parts of the world who have actually excelled in this area? So over to you for a little bit of insight into these aspects of national security strategies.
So, firstly, thank you so much, DDC, for giving me this opportunity to speak at this forum, and obviously so many dignitaries from the government of India and from the industry. A very good question asked to me, and I would like to set the context here that somebody said that they have prepared the answer to ChatGPT, but my panelist or my moderator was so cryptic that till today morning we were not being told what we are going to speak about. So it's a question which is being asked by her here, and I'm not prepared to answer that. So whatever I'm going to tell you is actually what is not being prepared to ChatGPT, but from my experiences. So the thing is, when it comes to defense and when our Prime Minister says that it's not an era of war, I defer to say that, and I beg to differ because this is an era of war. Everybody is fighting everywhere. We are having wars all around across the globe. Now the way we used to fight wars have got changed because it is not a kinetic wars which we fight. It is the wars are at digital fronts now. So it has taken a different form altogether. Why I say it has taken a different form? Because when a war is going to be started, it will not start by the bombardment or using their artillery. What would happen is they will first try to cripple your digital systems or the critical infrastructures. They will probably target your railways, they will probably target your electricity grids and whatnot. Same type of things have been faced by us also in the past, and when I say that, and also in the digital world, what happens is that you don't know who's your adversary. So we always think that probably in India we will be targeted by Pakistan or China, but it is not like that. We have been targeted by so-called friendly nations also. We get attacked by Russia, we get attacked by US. So you don't know who is going to attack you. Now, when it comes to defense, the problem is more vast. Why? Because the supply chain becomes an issue. We cannot trust our suppliers. Everybody knows what happens in Iran or what happened with the Hezbollah. So from chip level itself, the hardware itself, if it is coming from a very small level also, what is embedded in it, we don't know. So defense has to deal it very differently. I say it at different times because let us take about the standards. So when we talk about the encryption algorithms, encryption is generally being governed by NIST, and NIST is a US agency. There are forums at which Snowden has told openly that most of the algorithms have got values, right? So if the classical algorithms which we all are using and we think they are encrypted and we are safe when we are talking to somebody or when we are transferring our messages, but are we actually safe? We don't know. We can't say that. Why? Because NSA was opening all the messages. They were able to see everything. So firstly, what we do is we get away from that particular mindset. We actually, in defense systems, we don't use NIST proposed algorithms. We have got our own algorithms. We design it for ourselves and we use them in our secure communication, in our basically digital assets. So this is something which we do. Apart from that, we generally don't try to join the bandwagon. So what has happened that now there are few technologies which everybody is talking about here today, and there are few others which nobody is talking about. So the past 10 to 20 years, there were few technologies which have come up like AI, quantum, blockchains, and whatnot. So the thing is, as soon as a technology comes, it has been said that as a country we are not basically doing much about that particular technology. But it is not that. Government of India is doing wonderful. AI Summit was one show in which everybody who's who of the AI was here. But then coming to quantum, let us take a quantum scenario. Now MIT has also come up with the basically migration plan, in which MIT says that by 2027 or by 2030 we have to migrate to quantum safe cryptography, or PQC migration has to be started. But again, considering defense and me, I have to differ, because what is happening, NIST is the one who is proposing you the algorithms, right? They say that these are the four. So what has happened, if just to set the context, NIST came up with a challenge, and then they decided that we are going to have the post-quantum algorithms, which are going to be safe when the quantum computer comes. But then, out of the 4 algorithms which they have selected, 2 of them have already got broken. So, and that those particular algorithms who broke it, it's a kid who is studying in 10th class who broke it. So, are those algorithms safe? We can't say those algorithms are safe. So we need to have our own standard making authority agency in India, because till that time our standards are our own. We cannot, because it is mathematics, right? Somebody knows how to solve it. Probably we don't know how to solve it. So it is like mathematics. So what we are doing is, when it comes to quantum cryptography, we are using basically some form of ECC. So ECC, electrical cryptography. So what we have done is, we migrated from using the classic 256-bit curve to 768-bit curves, which have been designed by, again, sir, CDI has designed that particular curve, and we have been using it. And ma'am has already said the Operation Sindoor, which is there. It was a classic example in which we use our technology, and none of our messages got basically, nobody was able to intercept any messages. And Army is using it, Navy is using it. So that is another thing, basically, and I say that all the forums, the problem is the industries who are there. Now, next warfare which is going to happen, I'm very sure the industries are going to get targeted. And when it is said that you need to be prepared, and there is a joint preparedness, basically strategy which has been very recently has been launched, in which the defense cyber agencies and the defense agencies will be basically working with the industries to secure their infrastructure as well. So those are the way ahead now, because the warfare is not going to be kinetic anymore. It's going to be digital world, and it's going to be a digital war which we are going to fight. So these are few things which we are doing, and what I say most of the times is the foundational knowledge or the foundational work which we need to do is something from where we need to start, because most of the time we are always dependent on the solutions which are being given to us by foreign nations. So,
Vivek, I'll cut you short there. I have 2 more speakers.
Yeah.
So what we hear is basically the entire policing system, the entire defense system, everything is actually moving towards the cyber area. So I think that's where the technologies have to be kind of, be retrofitted, the skills have to be upgraded, and the entire focus in both the defense, internal security, external security is actually moving very fast, and it's moving so fast that we are not able to kind of upgrade our systems with that rate of speed that we desire. And I think that's where we move away from the government into the solution providers. So we have with us Mr. Minal Mathur, who is Arista Networks. Minal, I'm sorry, your country manager in India, Arista Networks. So you've heard a lot of the issues, and you've been hearing since morning as well. The issues, the problems, and the need of governments across the country to adopt and integrate solutions. Solutions, not only the cloud, the data centers, the processors, everything needs a recall. So tell us more about your Arista Networks. What do you exactly do? What are the kind of solutions that you have in mind for the plethora of problems that you've been hearing? And also, I would like to add, you must be dealing with this. So with all the cyber threats becoming so much more sophisticated and so much more intense, actually. So should governments actually think of networks themselves as a security layer, or rather than relying on perimeter defenses? So not that I understand the word perimeter defenses, I'm already, letting my guard go and let you explain what you do best.
Thank you so much, Sarita. And like everybody shared that, since we are standing between the audience and the lunch, I'll keep it short, but 2-3 things here. So, starting with states, where, like, for example, in police, we hear the amazing good work that the police department is doing with respect to gathering all the feeds where so many sources from cameras and all of that, and then applying artificial intelligence on top of it. So, what we can clearly see is that data is exponentially growing, right? And so far, we've been reactive in terms of if the incident happened, then you look back at the camera feeds and then figure out what happened. To the stage where now they are practically, using analytics to maybe capture things before they happen. And then we saw what happened in our neighboring countries in, let's say, Nepal or Bangladesh and all of that. Why that's not happening here is essentially because of the good work that the police is doing here in terms of being so proactive and managing all the things, be it processions or whatever. They already know a lot of things before they happen. That's all thanks to AI, right? Those are the applications we have. But to keep the lights on all the time, to make sure that they are running 100% of the time without any downtimes, any blips, network becomes all the more critical. So moving forward, what you hear may not take you further, right? Especially as the role of AI grows. What's very important is to ensure that the networks are built in a way that one, you get 100% of time, not even 99.9, right? So, and second, it should be very elastic because you are catered to citizens and not enterprises. So the traffic might spike anytime because of any reasons. So it should be massively scalable from that point that you're ready for the spikes. And third, it should be elastic in a way that, God forbid, something happens to your controller, command center or data center. You should have a DR kind of a option available from where you can run all the citizen services or such kind of things. And that's where I think the central government role also comes in handy because, within the state, how much DR could you create? The best is to maybe, the central government helps in doing something, and especially when it comes to AI missions, my simple submission is that everybody talks about GPUs and HPUs when we are building up the AI capabilities. What I really fail to understand is that why is the rest of the infrastructure being provided? From a spending standpoint, out of 10,000 crores, GPU is the biggest component. But what makes the GPUs run or to integrate or to ensure that the job completion time is minimal is the network. And right now, in a lot of places, as an Indian, what I think is a lot of proprietary technologies are being deployed there. So what we should definitely do is look at open standards, open technologies, standard-based technologies. There are consortiums which are being globally, like this Internet Consortium. We have all the OEMs, including AMD, Intel, HP, Dell, Cisco, everybody is there. And things are being standardized on the Internet. So my only request is that instead of using proprietary influent technologies to integrate GPUs, look at open architectures of Ethernet, which all the large players globally are doing. And I'm talking about large hyperscalers who are delivering AI services. You look at Tesla, you look at Microsoft, you look at Meta, all of these guys use standard-based Ethernet and not proprietary technologies. So that's one part which I saw was being ignored when the computing is started. So that's what it is. Second, coming from a cybersecurity standpoint and why network plays a critical role. I'll give you a story or a real life example, right? I'm only in the department, but what we do as network providers is also we provide a very deep amount of telemetry and intelligence on top of it. Because network is the single source of truth. Whatever happens will come on the network. If there's a cyber attack or if somebody is getting in, a malware is coming in, it will come via the network, right? The question is eventually connected via the network. And these days it's not just malware, it's even malintent. And you can encrypt a network and ensure that the malwares don't come in or there are no supply chain attached. But how do you deal with malintent? Right? So I just want to give you a small example. One of our customers, we deployed our infrastructure, we were just doing a POC. And they had a very peculiar problem. In one of the boardrooms, whatever discussions were happening were somehow leaked out to the other nation state. And there was no way to figure out how that was happening. Eventually what people realized and how we could help them was that there were IP phones in the room. And most of the departments today we have IP phones, right? What was happening was there was no malware, nothing. But in the internal IT administrator had enabled a functionality called as debugging. Now debugging is essentially done on an IP phone to ensure that the voice quality is good. So it captures all the ambient noise and then gives you a mouse score or whatever it is. But as a result of that, because debugging was on, it was hearing whatever conversation was happening in the room. And then he was moving that data to a drive. And for some reason it was a drive which was in the country. It was on the public cloud, but mighty approved drive on the cloud. And from there, it was being leaked out. Now, it was a guy who had right credentials to access that device.
And I think some time should be kept for me to respond to all what happened.
Yes, absolutely.
That responding will happen over lunch. I'm not going to take these personal fights here.
So if the audience are to be shown some sympathy. That means
Let's come to the let's.
No, absolutely. But let me just complete.
This is very healthy, actually. You know, it's just nice.
appreciate it, but I'll take just a minute because I need to respond to some of
No, I'm
So,
also
should I complete the security still that I'm talking about? Yeah. So what was happening was basically, and then all the sophisticated technologies they had, all the firewalls and next generation SIEM and EDRs and whatnot. Now apparently in an IP phone you can't have an EDR. And there are thousands of IP phones in the network. How we could have, especially from
he has to do his marketing bit anyway.
So there were 1,000 IP phones all talking to each other. But what we realized was there were 3 IP phones which were, instead of talking to each other or to the call manager, were talking to the cloud. Now an IP phone is not supposed to the cloud. And none of the existing technologies can really differentiate or they can tell you that these IPs are going on the cloud. They can't give you contextual information in terms of what device is going there. And that's the intelligence that we bring from with our networks, that we could pinpoint and tell them that hey, there are 3 IP phones which are talking to the cloud, and IP phone is not supposed to the cloud. And that's how they could figure out the whole thing. And then we could also give them the credentials and everything in terms of to triangulate and cache hold out. So I mean that's the intelligence of the network and brain. It's one of the other additional security over the solutions card. And second to Sir's point, it's not just a few countries which are attacking us. We did a very critical government establishment who thought they were completely air gapped. And what they realized was...
I think that should be it.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Thank you, Nana. That was a wonderful insight. Sudeepji, will come back to you to respond. Let me just ask my fellow participant here, Mayank. Mayank is in Splunk, which is a part of, I think, Cisco, right? So Mayank, so yes, you, without going into this department and that department, so would you like to tell us as to what is it that this particular, niche area of Splunk does in Cisco? And also, would you like to kind of, harp a little bit on the fact that, India's digital governance platforms are now handling, I think, the world's highest number of transactions daily, whether it's Aadhaar authentications or payments or other digital public infra. So how do we ensure that these systems remain highly scalable and performant while also meeting the stringent audit, data sovereignty and uptime, the SLA agreements that the government demands? So how is it that you're managing on both fronts and also a little bit on Splunk? I think that would also be helpful for the rest of us. Over to you, Bharat.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for that question. Let me start by saying this. Mr. Vivek talked about that it's an era of war, and certainly, when we go out and have conversations, and then when we read about, the news coming in globally, there's an invisible war which is going on, and that's actively in the space of cyber. The cyber warfare is something which goes on, and which can continue without even crossing the borders. And that's where, when we look at India, the kind of demography we have and the kind of digital public infrastructure which is being built in last 10, 15 years by government of India and by state government, there are plenty of services which are being delivered to citizens through that digital public infrastructure, which leads to billions of transactions, rightly said, through Aadhaar, UPI, and there are plenty of more platforms. So when we say there's plenty of data, more the data, it brings in more power, but it brings in more responsibility as well. And that's where, cybersecurity, it's not just a concern, but it becomes one important pillar. We at Splunk look at cybersecurity as an important aspect to ensure that it brings in digital resilience, or as we say, cyber resilience, to each of the component which is there in the stack of digital public infrastructure required to make that delivery to the citizens, or if it's an enterprise, in that case, customers. Sir talked about 4 layers, energy, chips, the LLM models, and then application. We look at all those 4 layers when it comes to energy. So we look at generation, distribution, utilities. When it comes to chips, so we look at the compute and main memory aspect, and other aspects of the data center or in a CSP environment. We look at LLMs, so there's an AI stack about it, and then of course the applications. So we talk to all the 4 layers, and the intent is to ingest the entire machine data from all these layers, consume it, and then we are in a position to give you insights around that data. The topmost use case which comes out of it is the cybersecurity. We kind of do a lot of correlation using AI, and then basis that able to generate sophisticated alerts to kind of give you insight that there's some sort of threat actor already in your environment, or we can predict that some sort of attack may happen, and then we kind of ensure the complete threat detection, investigation, and response strategy to ensure that this is being tackled in the best way. So that's one aspect to it. When it comes to digital resilience, which I talked about, we also need to ensure that the entire digital public infrastructure continues to perform to the best of its ability, which means best of the SLAs which we talked about, there's no downtime or there's no latency as in terms of accessing all that infrastructure. So we, leveraging the same machine data, work to ensure that everything continues to perform to the best of its ability. If there's something which may go wrong or slow, then we are able to predict it, and we kind of give insights to ensure or remediations so that we also fix it. I feel this is extremely important because, we are not just because we are in an era which is AI era, but because our digital public infrastructure is going multi-fold. And therefore, something like Splunk can really add value. One point, before I end, in the interest of time, coming back to cybersecurity, and Revati ma'am talked about, why measuring is important, of course, because if you can't measure it, we can't manage it. And giving the context where we see global landscape of invisible war of cyber, either it was in Gulf or in Ukraine-Russia scenario, or we continue to see in different situations, or as basic as a DDoS attack or somebody attacking supply chain. I wanted to moot an idea where possibly my team can take a lead here, that we are in a time that along with defense budget, which is being announced from the parliament, we should also look at cyber attack and defense budget as well. Because this is one era where we, unless we have that kind of money and focus on the table, kudos to the department, they've done a lot of initiatives, but I think if it's a very focused initiative in terms of having a cyber budget and kind of deploying it at different stages, that I think can actually help us to take that leap forward in terms of building Government of India digital public infrastructure truly digitally resilient.
Thank you, Mike. I think that's a very well taken suggestion, and this kind of component has to be brought in, not only in defense, but also in internal security, in policing, and in most of the departments actually who deal with, let me say, beneficiaries. So beneficiaries, data, money moving into beneficiaries' accounts, all these things have to be kind of taken with a pinch of salt in terms of adding the layer of security. So I would like to, I don't think I will have a set of questions anymore, no time for a set of questions from the audience. I would like to end this so that at least the sparks fly here only, and we don't want more sparks flying. So thank you to all the speakers for your very deep insights in a very crisp and very articulated and succinct manner. So you were able to kind of bring forward the fact that, moving ahead, ultimately the future of governance in India will be defined not just by the tools, not just by the tools that are in the market, in the research and development phase, or in the entire scenario, but also more so by the values which we embed in these tools. I think that's what the dialogue kind of sparks new ideas and strengthens the partnerships between both the sectors, the governments, the ministries, the states, the center, and definitely the business sector, the research and the researchers and the collaborators. And all this kind of partnerships should actually finally, inspire bold action. And with that bold action, we will be able to move forward towards a Viksit Bharat. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Just I would like to add one thing, because it was said that
That is not my fault anymore. So so
because something was said about Government of India, so responding in my responsibility on that front. Government of India is focusing on open sourcing. We are not favoring anyone. In GPU there are only 3 vendors, NVIDIA, AMD and Intel is on date. But yes, all the foundation models that we have made are open source. Secondly, for quantum, post-quantum cryptography is a very small part. There it will keep changing, that will keep changing even in US, because new codes are coming and cracking. Indian government has launched National Quantum Mission with 4 pillars: computing, communication, material and sensing, and government is working a lot on the emerging technology. Lastly, you also said something about the cyber projects. So already a lot of work is being done on that front. Maybe some other time when we catch up, I can share something on that. Thank you.